welcome to episode 2, Kath. How's it going?
Really good, really good. Ready to get into it.
Yep, I am so excited about today's episode because I have looked at the submissions and wow, things that I had never thought of. So that was very inspiring for me personally.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
Yeah, very excited.
Well, for you guys out there, this is the show, basically a learning design competition that we are running in conjunction with the Learning Conference, where participants take on briefs by fictional clients and they need to submit their best proposal forward. And then the learning design community gets to vote on who they think has the best design to progress in a knockout competition to the next round. So It's very exciting. And we should get into the show now, Kath.
Let's do it.
Welcome, special guest Matthew Mason of Superb Learning here in Australia, a good friend of ours. How are you, Matt?
I'm good, thanks. Excited to be here.
We are excited to have you. I know that you're full of ideas and you are a techno head. You love your technology and your gadgets, and you're always messaging and shouting out on LinkedIn all these great tools. And you have a digital learning agency. You've worked on so many different projects. What's one thing that you're working on at the moment that you're very excited about?
Look, we're excited on converting some leadership programs at the moment, converting them from face-to-face into the online, and really sort of making sure that the engagement that's happening in that face-to-face is still going to happen as part of that online experience. You know, not losing that social connection that people have.
That's really cool. Well, I want to draw attention actually to the conference, and we have one of our keynote speakers, and I want to see if you guys are excited about it as me, is Morton. Morton years ago did that lifesaver example. Do you remember that? Where it was an interactive video where you basically down the subway and you had to perform CPR using interactive video. An exceptional piece of work. Does that excite you?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, there's a few examples of that, and it's interesting that you say that he did it a number of years ago.
Yes.
Because it's one of those things that it's almost a little bit timeless, because the principles of what you have to do is there, and the way to engage with people is still a really cool and interesting way to do that. You know, I know I've played with it a few times. You know, jump in and go, okay, and gives people those choices as well. So it's not just a case of going, okay, bleh, here's some content, but it's a case of here's an experience. You know, how are you going to deal with this experience, and have that learning through that experience, and the opportunity as well to fail and learn through that failure. I think it's a great example of a really cool experience, and really keen to hear what he's got to say at the conference.
Yeah. Well, Morton has a TED Talk, and you can Google that lifesaver.org, I think it is, example. But Kath, what can people expect from Morton's session?
Well, Morton's got a lot. You know, I've spoken to Morton about what we're really wanting from the session, which is a bit of transparency, talking about what exactly is the process of making he calls it an immersive educational video as well. So, you know, there's lots and lots of layers there. And the research, the findings from the research, they've actually done testing of different cohorts using face-to-face and also using things like the Lifesaver, or there was a suicide awareness immersive video that he did, and one that was called, I want to say Heart Class, in which it was a bit of a blended approach where you'd have two teams, a classroom split up into two, and they'd work against one another. So he's done a variety of things, but he's certainly got the what I've kind of said to him is give people the tools that they can be able to go to their bosses and convince them that this is, if appropriate, a different way to do things. So he'll certainly give people the data and the lots of ideas for them to consider. So yeah, I'm really excited about it.
That's cool.
And I think the thing that I remember about that, I'll just say one last thing, is because of the countdowns and because of the audio and everything that was made the experience really rich. I remember sitting and watching people starting to panic doing the compressions. And, you know, I think that kind of thing, I'd never seen that before in a digital experience. So yeah,
it did capture that emotion and that stress feeling of a situation where if you needed to perform CPR in the real world, it's done it exceptionally well in the digital land. Kath, I'll get you now to take us through the first participants in this round of 64 for episode 2.
All right, not a problem. So we have Rasheed against Michael. And Rasheed is an IT training manager, and Michael is an instructional designer and e-learning developer who's a freelancer. And I know Michael is a fairly local person. He's here in Victoria. All right, so Rasheed sent through a pretty short bio, and Rasheed actually didn't submit anything, unfortunately, Kim. So we're going to move on over to Michael, okay? Michael he's a lead instructional designer on an industry-leading educational programs for optometrists. 3 courses comprising 18 hours in total of interactive e-learning. The program has had thousands of optometrists signing up on their own accord. Wow. So that's just one example of a piece of work. I think he's now working for Guide Dogs New South Wales. He lives in Geelong, which is close to me. So let's have a look at what Michael submitted. Here you go, Kim.
Yes, so Michael is proposing a web app using Evolve or Rise, so both responsive tools. It's easy for non-tech people to edit. So he's saying you don't need to be a developer to be able to jump in and use these tools, which helps with the sustainability. And it is mobile friendly for on-the-go access by the community. Now, he wants to promote a personalized experience for learners using something like a branching scenario. So it's very action focused, Michael's solution, where basically they get questions that they then take the learner down a path that is relevant to their own journey. So if you see on his examples there, the questions are things like, what's still open in our community? And I'm feeling anxious about what's going on. So I think that's really quite cool that he's done that. He's really putting emphasis on let's not have an information dump. And I'd say we're all big promoters of doing that. And in terms of future proofing, which is one of our criteria, is look, these things, he's saying we need to have unlimited reviewers to contain things and move things along quickly as possible. So we don't have too many opinions coming through, but with things that are basically getting updated daily, if not hourly, having minimal reviewers is important to that. And what he likes about these tools is it'll be an easy way for him to promote some job aids, you know, as part of that solution, as opposed to just having a full e-learning. And then he's saying, look, they're great tools because you can embed live content such as the coronavirus tracker, which I think is cool. So it's curating content. And he also wants to minimize the use of expensive interactions that date quickly, which is a great idea because he's saying animations and videos, you know, they're very expensive to make. And then, you know, if things are changing daily, it doesn't really work. Now, one last thing I'd like to say on Michael's submission that he has picked up, I think it's brilliant, is his budget actually allows for ongoing sustainability. So the initial build in that will take a chunk of it, but he's offering support ongoing for the rest of the budget to support with those updates that may happen. Well, Matt, first impressions, what do you think of Michael's submission here? What do you think of the look and feel and just what he's kind of promoted as his solution to the brief?
Yeah, look, looks really nice. Nice look and feel. I like obviously the tiled look about it to sort of, again, allow for that somewhat personalization for people to jump in and explore different parts depending on what their individual needs are.
Yeah.
like that he's referenced the use of Evolve. Evolve is one of those great tools out there built on the ADAPT framework that does provide some great way to provide some really cool mobile responsiveness. And the branching stuff is one of those things that's built into Evolve that you can actually do quite well. And have to agree, that it's not a complex tool. It's very basic. It's built on a simple concept of ABC of article block components, and so someone with a minimal level of technical skills should be able to jump in and edit and update those courses. So great that he's thinking about that sustainability piece as part of that, for obviously the ongoing management.
Yep. Kath, any thoughts on Michael's submission?
Yeah, I like the idea of it being in Evolve as well, because I take the kind of look at it as just-in-time training, kind of selling it more like a learning app rather than a course. So, I mean, the nice thing about Evolve is you can just put it out, HTML link onto your server. You wouldn't even need to refer it as even a learning tool. You can just call it an app and people wouldn't really know any different. What do you think about that, Matt?
Yeah, look, I think that's good, because again, you've got that, you put it out and something like that, then the access or the ease of access makes it so much better from a learning point of view. Not everything has to be sitting in the learning management system, and certainly the more opportunities that people can access it, or the easier that people can access it, makes it so much better. And if it if it doesn't look like learning, but it still is, providing opportunities for learning, then that's great.
I do like how people so far in the submissions, they're not all just going for SCORM packages and having to put stuff in the LMS, and that really does meet the brief. And I love that people have come up with that as the solution and the perspective. All right, Kath, get us on to the next one.
All right. So this is obviously just another view of what Michael submitted. And I should also say that I've put all of the submissions in the into the HQ. So if people go to showcases, they can see all of these and have a look at them in more detail. All right. So our next pair are Phil and Shirleen. And Phil is a creative director at the e-learning laboratory. And Shirleen is an e-learning designer and developer from New South Wales Customer Service. So a little bit about Phil. He's been working in education for over 20 years and has been developing e-learning for over 14 years. He's an Articulate MVP and the winner of Articulate Guru Gold winner. He says, my passion is to create breathtaking, innovative e-learning. So let's take a look at what he submitted.
Let's have a look at this breathtaking solution then. All right, Phil's solution. What I liked, I picked up on, he's written his brief as if he's talking to the client. And I think that's a good habit for people to get into when they're participating in the competition. And he's even just said, thank you for the opportunity to present my ideas. I think that's really nice personalization there. In terms of Phil's tool, he's suggesting WordPress, and he's going to use plugins and H5P. Are you guys, I'm not, and I don't know much about H5P. What are the benefits? What should people be knowing about that as a learning designer? Matt, I'll throw that to you.
Yeah, look, I mean, H5P is actually just one of those pretty cool tools that allows you to create some really small, nice objects. So one of the things about it is that you don't end up creating this hour-long course. It's like, okay, I just need to create this very small interaction. Could be a drag and drop. It could be a slideshow. It could be an accordion. So you can create some really cool interactions to then drop into your WordPress website. I know that Moodle's now got some integrations with H5P, and there's also a number of other learning management systems. Again, it's one of these tools that doesn't require a huge amount of technical skills. It's pretty basic. They've got some great samples on the site already that you can go, okay, well, hey, this is cool, and you can duplicate what they've got there. So I think that's a good one for that small bite-sized pieces of content.
What I think is cool about Phil is he said WordPress because he doesn't want to go for a full-on app. And the reason he said this is because if you go for an app, you have to wait for approval through, for example, the iTunes store or the Apple store where you get apps. And I think that's great consideration when this is something that Liberty City is trying to get out as quickly as possible. You don't want to have to wait for 2 to 3 weeks for your app to be approved. So WordPress, as long as you got the internet, you can make updates anywhere. Now, his solution includes a homepage, and it's basically going to be custom to your region. So you'll be able to, the first thing will have like a map where it's like, this is the infections in your region. Here are the FAQs that you may want to ask, which I think is giving that personalized experience. And he's also talking about putting in some videos, and the videos will be multi-channel. So what he's thinking is they go on this solution, but they can be used in doctors' surgeries, in the wait rooms of hospitals. So they're actually getting used across multiple mediums and destinations to spread the information that's required at Liberty City. And another thing is he's saying, let's get some notifications happening through this for those people that do want to be kept up to date. Now, he is suggesting Elementor or Divi to make edits. Kath, I know you play with Elementor. Have you played with Divi, and what would be benefits there for learning designers to consider?
Oh, look, I mean, I built our website for the learning conference using Elementor. Okay. What's nice about it is you can save blocks.
By the way, just saying.
Oh, thank you. But you can basically save parts as templates. So, for example, the speakers, I was able to just put that into a template, and when I embedded it in, it's updating in other places within the website. It means I just don't have to do things in multiple places. Divi is pretty much the same. So it would mean if he's got a block that he's embedded, let's say a widget, or just some kind of feed, he doesn't need to do it. If he changes that once, it changes in multiple places.
That's cool.
So I think this is a good solution.
Yeah. His last thing, again, another person that's considered basically part of the budget he's allowing for regular backups, because WordPress does need that done, and also customer support. So yes, Kath, let us flick on.
All right. I should have flicked over. So this was a mock-up that Phil did.
It's cool.
How
I like
this
the
will
colors.
look. Okay.
Some examples, because we were looking for people to suit all ages. I think this has captured it well. Like, it doesn't rule too much of the audience out by having these illustrations. And we are seeing a lot of illustration come through. So
yeah, as
opposed to photos.
I think that fits the brief really, really well.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shirleen, she says, my experiences are mostly in digital design, website, and user interface for mostly marketing, hospitality, and advertising industry. For the past 2 years, I've been in the education industry designing e-learning and loving it. And here is what Shirleen has submitted.
All right. Now this, I'm going to get a bit excited about, but I just love the uniqueness of this solution. So Shirleen's saying, let's use Instagram, right? And I just think this is great. These are the reasons why she's proposing this, is that millions of people are already on there. It's free. There's no age restrictions to join. So that suits all the different age groups that may want to be on there. It has multiple formats already, such as video uploads, images, and you can go live. And I think that's incredibly important for this brief where things are changing rapidly. You can put on notifications so that when Liberty City actually pushes out content, you get notified that something is there that you may care about. And the other benefit of this is the social interaction. You know, there's opportunities to like things, to have comments and discussions and ask your questions, to direct message Liberty City Council through the Instagram app. And you can do things like polls as well and save posts to if they're important to you later as well. So I think it's a great solution in terms of being sustainable and very easily able for anyone to make the updates and do what they need to do as part of this brief. So we've got some great mock-ups here on screen. What are your thoughts, Matt, in terms of Instagram and what you're seeing in the design there of, she's got a very clear brand happening for Liberty City, which I like.
Yeah, look, the colours and the look and feel of it is quite good, and yeah, it's loving the idea that she's thinking very much out of the box, and you know, and going with something like Instagram, in terms of, as you know, as you've said, the accessibility. You know, so many people can access it, but there's also that level of familiarity as well. So people go, okay, well, I'm used to using this. I don't have to learn how to go into a learning management system or some other system to learn content. Also, the fact that with the situation such as COVID-19, where things are changing, well, this is an opportunity that gives you a platform to really quickly and easily update content as it does need, you know, change as you're going through. So, yeah, some great things there. And I think, yeah, that the social piece is another one that, you know, bring in so many opportunities for people to go, okay, well, okay, this piece of content said this, I've got a question about that. And so that the ability to have that social and have those, you know, frequently asked questions answered really, really easily. Very nice.
Kath, your thoughts?
Yeah, really good. Loving Instagram, and I think that this is a great way of a great brand. You know, she's thought about categories, she's thought about stories, very consistent. Love the look and feel. Yeah, I mean, marketing would be a great solution for this. So love it.
And I think it works out really well. Essentially what Shirleen's saying is, hire me as a resource to make these posts for you and sit at my desk pumping out content all day long. So you're not paying for a product as such, you're paying for a service and a resource as a human being. I think that's a really cool way of approaching this brief.
Sounds really good. Let's move on to our next pair. We've got Jayashree and we've got Emily. And Jayashree is a senior learning designer at Grid Synergy, and Emily is an instructional designer at Peace Health. So let's just learn a little bit more about Jayashree. So she says she's a staunch advocate for adult learning, and this is what she's submitted.
All right, so she wants to put forward her tool as RISE, Articulate RISE. And she's saying this is a great tool for this because it's collaborative for creating and reviewing. It does have a really good function for reviewing with stakeholders, I agree. It's a clean and simple user interface, HTML5. There are templates already in there. So if you talk about trying to do rapid building, it's a little bit easier to push things out quicker. It's responsive, and she is proposing the use of text, interactions, infographics, and videos all through RISE. Now, what is unique about this is she's saying, let's get in and do a chatbot. And I think this is really cool because it's a personalized experience. So it could just be a little, you know, here's the question, drop down the answer and find out the answer to your question. But the chatbot really brings personality into it. So I think that's quite cool. And she's got the use of a timeline here. And it's always something that people do actually like, is to flick back. And we see that on the WHO website at the moment, even the Australian government website here for our updates on timeline and cumulative results and things like that, which I think people want to know in this situation. So I think that's quite a cool feature that she's put in there. And she also talks about the universal design principles. And now I'm going to quote Wikipedia on this one. So shout out to Wikipedia for the little definition for those of you that aren't aware of what this is. But it's basically a set of principles to design products and environments to be usable by all people to the greatest extent possible without need for adaptation or specialized design. Well, what have y'all got to say about this submission? Kath, I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with RISE, you can, well, it has got a nice functionality that you can embed storylines, so you can create things like chatbots that don't come natively in Rise. I certainly think that Rise is something that is very easy to definitely go in and make changes to, and also to get to get feedback from other SMEs on. So yeah, absolutely.
Matthew?
Yeah, no, look, it's got a nice look and feel. Again, the fact that it's going, from a mobile responsive, so it's accessible to everyone. Also like the fact that she's talked about the UDL guidelines. It's one of those things that we probably should be paying more attention to. I know, they're initially designed as guidelines from an accessibility point of view, but when you actually go and read them, you go, well, hang on, these are guidelines that we actually should be applying to all sorts of learning. So it's great to see that. I like that looking at those examples there where she's got this sort of preferred learning path. So again, allows for that personalization. People can jump in and out. It's not a linear process flow. That's good. And yeah, quite a nice clean look about it.
Yep. Cool. Thanks,
guys. Very good.
Take us over to Emily's. Let's have a look.
All right. So Emily says, I love technology and have a passion for learning and development, full-time instructional designer in healthcare, and a student at the University of Washington. So let's have a look at the first slide that Emily submitted.
Yeah, cool. So Emily has suggested Rise as well. So quite a popular tool. I think people are thinking really about, how can we develop stuff quickly? And that's why that tool is coming up a lot. But what she's really put emphasis on is the ability to publish as a PDF. And that is a great opportunity for just-in-time resources, for posters. And I think she's done well to pick up on that and promote that as part of her solution. She's saying, obviously, Rise is web-based and you can link to other resources. So she's talking about curating content. The Liberty City does not need to be the full-on golden egg of all information about COVID-19, but linking out to useful places that are more up-to-date and have better credibility, where they can just embed links. And yes, she's actually trying to train a behavior in terms of getting people to go to a source of truth. So she's saying, she's trying to train people in saying, go to this particular site for all your answers, and they will be able to then look up what they need and what's relevant to them. So thoughts on Emily's solution in terms of just in time and that credibility?
Yeah, like we said before, that's the beauty of Rise. Again, it's fully responsive, so you can use it as a kind of just in time training tool, and easy to kind of navigate and get straight into. You don't need to lock it down. So yeah, good.
And in her facts here, she's got kind of like what people would want to know straight away. But then, as I say, she's that little document icon. She's saying, if you ever get stuck or want to get to something quickly, this is the source of truth. So she's trying to promote that behavior of go here for the answer you're looking for. Matt, your thoughts? I love the characters, actually. I like the little leaves and stuff. Those things are nice.
Yeah, again, nice. Yeah, nice look and feel. Doesn't look like a typical learning course, which is good. Bit more like an infographic or some sort of piece of information, which is nice. Very clear to sort of go, okay, these are the key facts and things. And obviously the fact that you can download a PDF as well, that you can gives you another resource that you can share or put on there is a good interesting way of doing it.
Yeah. Nice work, team, on this one. Let's get into our last two participants and see what they're up to.
Okay, so we've got Tabatha Dragonberry, who's an instructional designer at Idle Courses, and Maija, who is a UX designer and a freelancer. So let's take a look at, learn a little bit more about Tabatha. So she's an edtech entrepreneur, instructional designer, content writer, and educator dedicated to developing interactive and engaging learning ecosystems. So let's have a look at what Tabatha has submitted.
Cool. So Tabatha had a lot of energy around this, and what has come through is her instructional design skills and the way that she's approached this. So the tool that she is suggesting is articulate storyline. And what I mean by the instructional design side is she wants to use interactive storytelling so the learner or the user is actually the character of the story to get the relevant information to them. And she wants to use a lot of visuals to tell this story. Now, in terms of future-proofing it, she's saying, let's use text and images, but we'll have generic scenes that can be replaced in and out as things change. And what she's really putting emphasis on in her solution is time to reflect on decisions to educate and affect behavior change. And I know we're quite passionate about that as learning designers. So what are your thoughts, Matt, in terms of that reflection piece, in terms of, you know, COVID-19 is going on and what Tabatha is suggesting here?
Yeah, look, I think that's the reflective piece is a good one. It really does give that ability to sort of draw on our own experiences and think about how we're going to do it. And that also comes through with the storytelling by obviously putting people into the story, putting them into the situation. It also can help with that. That emotional connection that often we quite often lose, when we're doing learning, by actually putting people into the story and they're part of the story, then there's a bit more emotional involvement, as we're talking earlier with the lifesaver. That emotional connection through stories is a good one to see.
Kath, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, love the idea of it being a first person, kind of putting someone in the position where they've got to critically think about things and make choices. So certainly like that immersed feature of the course. Yeah,
cool.
We'll have a look at a little bit more about Maija. So Maija's a UX designer with a background in instructional design and people development. So I'm going to just jump into what Maija's submitted, something a little bit different.
It is. So Maija wants to put forward a chat bot using IBM Watson Assistant. Now, this is cool. It's cute. She wants to call it Botty. So adding that, personalization, it's cute, it's relatable. And what she's saying about Botty is that it can be pre-trained to handle COVID questions using basically resources that are already available on the web. It can learn from the WHO website and things like that and train itself over time. I just think this is crazy clever. Botty is mobile friendly, and it will use neutral language that appeals to all different age groups, which is what we wanted for this solution. And she's promoting the use of text, images, videos, and providing links to external resources. So again, curating content. And what she said is cool about Botty is that it supports voice input. And I'm a big user of this. And if you ever get a messed up message from me that doesn't have the correct grammar and stuff, it's because I am texting using my voice to dictate my messages, or just putting a little voice message in because it's so time friendly. So I love that you can that it supports voice input, and it can basically learn on its own. So have you guys played with this IBM Watson before? And what are your thoughts on a little chatbot solution?
Are you going to go, Matt, or do you want me to go?
I'll go. Yeah.
Yep.
Haven't played with IBM Watson, but I do love the idea of the chatbot. And the fact that also that she's giving it a name, Botty, I mean, you just look at how people now talk to Siri and things, because it's got a name. So there's that extra element there with it. Certainly the look and feels quite good. And I think the fact that, yes, that you're actually not having to spend a huge amount of time creating the content because it's pulling it in and learning as it goes is a great way of providing a resource that is going to continue to evolve and update without much involvement required there.
Yeah. Kath, what's your impressions of the UI from a UI designer now? What are you thinking, look and feel?
Think it's really cute. Love the little icon. Love that it's not masculine or feminine, kind of suitable for everyone. Like that it's just nice and simple buttons to keep the person moving through the chat bot. Obviously, it's got the Ask Me Anything as well, so that you can either kind of ask them a question, or it looks like you can just click buttons to get new information. And love the whole, you know, the motor learning. I'm forgetting the word, but I'm loving that the system will just keep learning. And I think the really interesting thing about using something like this would be the data that's being gathered in the background. Really tell you about where there's a need. If someone asks for something that isn't there, they're getting that data. They can then start curating more content. So yeah, just really, really interesting. Great solution.
Awesome. Well, that is the last of the participants of episode 2 of the show. Big shout out and love to all of you that got your submissions in, and for the creativity. I definitely learned myself and things that I want to experiment with next time. Matt, big shout out to you for wearing the Learning Conference colors. I don't know if that was planned, but we appreciate your support. Purple looks great on you. But thank you for the knowledge and the value that you shared by being part of today's episode. I hope you had fun.
Yeah, good fun, and really great to see some really cool submissions. You know, ones that a little bit out of you know, left field with some of their thinking, and looking at what are the different ways that we can use, you know, tools and technology to engage the learners. Some great submissions. It'll be interesting to see what the you know, what the community feel, and I think the decision of a winner is going to be a hard one.
Well, take us over, Kath. How do people vote for their favorite entry?
Yep. So up on the top right hand corner, you should see a little dot with an I in it. All you need to do is just drag your mouse up there and click on it, and you'll be able to vote for your favorite entries. So nice and simple. Please vote. Please share the videos so that it goes out to a broader audience, and obviously more people can vote. And we're going to be putting the winners up onto the show HQ as soon as we've curated all of the feedback. So great job, guys.
Brilliant. Thank you everybody for watching. We appreciate it. We're really loving the energy around the show. People are telling us that they're getting a lot of value from seeing the submissions already, and just inspiration to do things differently in their learning design. So thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.
Yay.